Hi, in this video we will show you how you can utilize Omega 365 to manage contracts. This includes commitments, changes, documentation and communication with the contractors.
Yes, and contracts are a part of the organization structure, meaning that access can be managed at the contract level and that all data can be linked to contracts. So the organization structure is very central in Omega 365. It is a digital representation of how the company is organized, including project contracts and frame agreements. Here we have an example where we have the corporation at the top level, then the different divisions, and under, in this case, the renewable division, we have the frame agreements, we have the different projects, and under each project we have the different contracts and also the call-offs from the frame agreements.
The contract register gives an overview of the contracts in the selected context, which in this case is in a project. So if we move up to portfolio level, we can see all the contracts within that portfolio. And as we can see here, there are several cost data available, such as commitments, claims, and forecasts. And when you go into one of the contracts, you get information and data related to the contract. This is documents, workflows, correspondence, etc. And in the elements, you have all the contract elements, such as the original contract, change orders, and change orders requests.
Yes, and the contractors, they can issue these change order requests themselves. So in this case, when I'm on the contractor side, the contractor can go in here and register a new contract element. Select, in this case, they have two options, a notice or a variation order request or a change order request. So when they issue these, it will appear on the client side where it can utilize an approval process before eventually a change order is issued from the client to the contractor.
The contract forms are configurable and you have several predefined forms you can use. You can also create and set up your own forms. So here you can specify the costs and you have the possibility to link them to a WebS, which is done on the client side.
That means that the contractor issuing the change order request, they don't need to tie it to any WS. They don't need to know anything about the WS that the client is utilizing. That's anyway the client that assigns the cost to the WS elements. And what is important, of course, when it comes to contracts and changes to the contract is to have a full tracking of the communication that's been between the different parties. So on the right hand side here we have the documentation of the communication. Here you can type a message and it will go to the contractor and it will be documented here, of course, and the contractor can send their messages. And it's also so that when every time you issue a change order request or change order or any other element, it will be documented there and a PDF will also be generated. And sometimes it's also important that the client can communicate internally without the contractor seeing what they are communicating about. So here in the client workspace, it will only be the client that can see what is written. Here you can have both actions and comments. It's also possible to link these change orders or in general these contract elements to other items. It could be documents, other contract elements, workflows or objects. And when it comes to access, we are by default utilizing the role-based concept, the roles and organization structure. But it's also possible to specify additional persons that should have access to these elements. And finally, you can also set up authorizations matrix, meaning who should be authorized to approve according to the amounts. And you can tag these elements, so making it easier for searching and categorization of these elements.
The information from the contract register is important when it comes to managing cost, where it is used as a central part of the forecast and having a good overview of the commitments.
So like here we have a cost curve where we can see the development of the committed amount here in this curve. And we have cost status reports by the WBS or by contracts. including like the committed amount, amounts that are not yet committed, potential that can be change order request, for example, or contracts not yet awarded. And as the project moves on and one get more and more contracts in place, the contract forecast becomes a more and more central part of the project's total forecast.
And Omega 365 also has a functionality for a bill of quantities, which starts with registering the contracts with unit prices per process codes. Then the contractor can deliver a bill of quantities, which describes the actual quantities.
Yes, so that was a short intro to Omega 365 contract management. For more information and more videos, check out omega365.com and our YouTube channel. Thank you.